Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Thanks for joining us on this quest as we attend the Internet College of Infinite Knowledge. Sitting in the co-pilot seat, none other than the Grey Wizard of Historical Knowledge himself, Mr. Eric D. Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah?
Yep.
Can't complain?
No.
I wouldn't. Nobody would care anyway, right?
It only invites disaster.
I shouldn't say that. Nobody cares about Eric. Everybody loves Eric. Jesus. We figured that out, huh?
Jesus loves Eric.
Especially Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, so thanks for joining us tonight. As you can see, we've sort of had some changes in the way we've set the studio up and put things together. We've got some new cameras and new layout. So we're going to try this sort of more casual approach to this soiree that we do on a regular basis anyway. So
Casual.
Yeah, I got like a squeak going on here. How about you? Yeah, I gotta pay attention to that. That's driving me mental.
I think I'm pretty well oiled up over here.
Are you? I'm gonna move my chair. Maybe.
Wrestle that chair.
I think I got it moved. Let's see now. It's still rubbing a little bit. We'll make do. I'll have to do something about it. Take a saw and just cut the corners of the table off. All right, so shout outs for tonight's show. Definitely Blaze. Reed, who did some behind the scenes work for us here. Susan, Cassie, Dan W. again with the comments, YouTube and stuff. German Dude. Remember German Dude from YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think he found his way. I think it's the same guy. He found his way. I can't, the usernames don't line up. But I think it's the same cat. You know, our German fan from YouTube has found their way into the No Shit Cast group now and has been commenting in there. So big shout out to German Dude.
Is his name Boris?
Yeah, maybe.
I just made friends with a Boris up in Copenhagen, Germany.
Yeah, maybe that's him. German Dude. Well, let us know if that's you. Yeah. If it's not you, no, German Dude, I'm sorry.
I think it's a music thing.
Is it?
I think so. But I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, tell us.
Yeah, let us know for sure. So that was shout outs all done. KSC fan cards. We've had some questions as to what's happening there. Basically, we're waiting on software is what it boils down to. Mr. Devlin wants to make them in like Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or something like that. So it's one of the things as we acquire the license, then it'll get underway. Yeah. We have sort of like a sketch up of what we want to do, but to do it the way he wants to do it, there's certain tools that he wants, and who might tell him no.
It's got to be quality, folks.
Yeah, that's all we do here, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's the story on the fan cards. Mike Barnett just dropped the Making Sense like soundbite or whatever you would call it snippet tonight on the No Shit Cast Facebook page.
Teaser.
Yeah, it's like a behind the scenes thing too. So that's like coming together. And I think in March we might be seeing something premiere with them. I think there's some stuff going on right now, so we'll be finding out about that too. Where it's going to premiere.
Where and when? Yeah,
because it's going to make the festival route probably first for sure. And yeah, we'll have to see how that goes, man. Be really cool because I'd love to go try, go to a premiere.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So.
That would be awesome.
So that's, if you want to check that out, folks, kind of see what they've been working on in this great movie project and film that they've put together, go check that out over at the Facebook, No Shit Cast Facebook group.
And Kenny,
page.
I'm friends with Kenny now.
Oh, Kenny from Thought Dump Podcast? Yeah.
I
Kenny
thought
Schaefer.
I was friends with him, and I wasn't.
Well, I mean, okay, friends. Okay, yes, you in real life you were definitely friends with Kenny Schaefer, but maybe not on social media.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I don't know.
That doesn't mean you weren't friends.
Yeah, right. But now I can make comments on all of the things.
All the Thought Dump stuff.
Anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Could you not make comments on all the things before? I mean,
probably not. No, because we weren't friends. Or maybe I could have. I don't know what his privacy settings are.
On all the things. Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the meme of the of Anton LaVey and his daughter.
Oh, okay. You just saw that recently?
Yeah, I think I seen it before he maybe reposted it, and I was just looking at it, and they were like, yeah, I think that's Anton LaVey. And I'm like, yeah, that's Anton LaVey and his daughter, and he's like doing a magic circle ritual, and right now he's using a sword which represents air to open up the Eastern Guard Tower.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like because that shit's really familiar to me, and from a anthropological sort
that's
of
it, dude.
historical standpoint.
That's what it is. It's not. It's you sold your soul to the devil. A long time ago, and that's how you know that stuff. Or, I don't know, making shit up again over here. Just making it up, folks. Making it up.
Yeah, using Golden Dawn and some of that Buckland's, good old Buckland's and Golden Dawn magical precepts and stuff that Aleister Crowley set down out there in California and the Golden Dawn.
Buckland is like a specific sort of hierarchy or school focus or something, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah, and Golden Dawn is kind of like that, but
it's kind of like saying Methodist or whatever, but it's actually named after a person.
Yeah, as opposed to the Gardnerian branch, which came out before, like maybe in 45 or something in that time, but I'm not really sure. But I don't know. I've seen a lot of people do that particular ritual. Rituals are common.
That particular ritual that's in that post.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
From that meme, huh?
Yeah.
I think I posted on there, it looks like a good time or something like that. It looks like fun or something like that. I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but I sure want to know.
We don't do that on Friday nights.
Right. No, definitely not that.
Well, he said his next birthday party, so.
Yeah, I'm going to hold him to that. Yeah. So, Kenny, I know you're listening, so...
Make it happen,
right?
Man.
You better make that happen, and I better see pictures. I don't know. We'd go to that.
I'd go to that.
That'd be a hell of a party, right?
I absolutely would go to that.
What you got going on here, Kenny?
Yeah, I got my notepad. Let's go.
Though, the interesting thing I can honestly say about this, though, is that of all the people that I think if I showed up at their birthday party and would see something like that, I can honestly say I think it would be him. I think he's not letting any kind of cat out of the bag here or anything at all.
Nobody's surprised.
Yeah, like it wasn't so like, oh yeah, I could totally see going to one of Kenny's parties and seeing something bizarre. He's a funny guy, man. So love you, Kenny. He's like, how did I become a topic of the
show?
Right.
We're gonna do an article.
Well, there's him and Brandon are supposed, or not Brandon. Him and Greg are supposed to be coming on the show, you can see we have the new layout, guys. We're just trying to figure out how we fit people in here now. We got kind of an idea, but it's going to get real cozy in the studio. It's going to be like that circle table thing, from. What was that show? The 70s show,
It's
going to be like this weird round table thing instead of
a camera going around to each person that talks.
Yeah, we'll just make Devlin sit in the middle and move the camera.
Will it be hazy?
Oh, I don't know about all that. No, man, it's illegal in this state. Can't be hazy here. Just saying. I don't promote the breaking of laws, Mr. Smith. I'm just putting that out there. So, speaking of senses and the new movie premiere from the movie Making Sense, we thought this article would be pretty cool. Says, the brain senses touch beyond the body. You detect a tool's contact with an object as if you placed your own finger on it. Didn't we do this already?
I don't think so.
I think we did.
No.
I don't know, maybe not. Luke Miller, a cognitive neuroscientist, was toying with a curtain rod in his apartment when he was struck by a strange realization. When you hit an object with the rod, even without looking, you could tell where it was or where it was making contact, like it was a sensory extension of his body. That is kind of weird. Miller recalls thinking to himself, so I went to the lab and we played around with it in the lab. Seems like
hey guys, I brought this stick.
Here, watch this. Whap.
Right.
Isn't that weird? Yeah, man. You hit me with that again. Sensing touch through tools is not a new concept, though it has not been extensively investigated. In the 17th century, philosopher René Descartes, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I could be completely wrong. It could be just Pepe Le Pew and the fuck out of that right now. So,
Philosopher Le Pew.
Philosopher, oh, me, Sherry. Discussed the ability of blind people to sense their surroundings through their walking cane. While scientists have researched tool use extensively, they typically focus on how people move the tools. They, for the most part, neglected the sensory aspect of tool use, Miller says. I don't know if I understand. So, yeah, I get it. You have something in your hand, and if you touch something with that thing, you feel it. So what? Why is that so groundbreaking?
Well, I mean, I guess if you couldn't see it, that would be the only way you would feel it from afar.
Maybe.
Like as an extension of your senses, so that you had an idea of your surroundings before you encountered them. I mean, I guess in a way that's what a cane is for, but also if you could tell more about your environment with it.
Yeah. The article goes on to say, this is from Scientific American, by the way, in a 2018 Nature study, Miller and his colleagues at Claude Bernard Lyon, the first university in France, reported that humans are actually quite good at pinpointing where an object comes in contact with a handheld tool using touch alone, as if the object were touching their own skin.
Right, because like...
Well, you know, if you're not poking something versus hitting it from the side.
No, but I think like with this.
Oh, you're not on the mic anymore.
I think like with this, what they're saying is they can tell if it's being touched here or here or here. They can tell.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know how, but maybe the vibrations and the way
I'm
that
sure drummers, that's just a native for them, right? It's just instinctual, but
yeah.
Okay. A tool is not inverted like our skin, so how does our brain know when and where it is touched? Innervated. That's a word. Innervated. Yeah, like it doesn't have nerves. So why not just say a tool does not have nerves like our skin? Oh, I gotta put this word in here.
Scientific American.
So yes, you're right. So how does I'm not very bright, Scientific American. Come on here. So how does our brain know when it is touched? Results in a follow-up study published in December and Current Biology reveal that the brain regions involved with sensing touch on the body similarly process it on the tool. Quote, the tool is being treated like a sensory extension of our body, Miller says.
I like that there was a follow-up paper. It's like, you remember when we played with that stick? Yeah. We didn't do that good
and
enough.
Got grant money to do it.
Yeah, we need to do a better job.
Remember when we played with that stick?
Yeah, we need to go over that again because we didn't check into it enough.
God.
I mean, it's true, but it's not absurd, but I'm maybe making it sound absurd. I don't know.
God.
But you know what I'm saying, right?
You're not trying. What was it you said? You're not trying to make it funny. It just is.
I guess. Yeah. Right? I mean, but you know what I mean. It's like.
Remember when we played with that stick?
Yeah. Like we need to do that better, or have a more in-depth study or play date or whatever, and check it out more.
Play date, huh? In the initial experiment, the researchers asked 16 right-handed subjects to determine where they felt touches on a 1 meter long wooden rod. Now
see, that's just funny.
The stick.
Would you just read it again, please?
Well, so that is the scientific definition of a stick, wooden rod.
I think a rod is like 16 and a half feet long in ancient times. If that helps.
You know a lot about rods, do you?
I do.
Okay.
In ancient
Should we discuss
rods.
how you know in ancient rods, especially?
Yeah, polyphalluses and ancient rods.
Yeah. We need to have
5 feet and penises with wings. Man.
Have you considered therapy? I'm just putting it. No, okay.
Other people have considered it. I have not. I've grown quite accustomed to this.
Very loving, caring, nurturing,
people.
Concerned,
wise people. Yeah.
Oh, God. I love you, Eric Smith.
Yeah, I love you.
In a total of 400 trials, each subject compared the locations of 2 touches made on the rod. If they were felt in different locations, participants did not respond. If they were in the same location, the people in the study tapped a foot pedal to indicate whether the touches were close or far from their hand. Even without any experience with the rod or feedback on their performance, the participants were, on average, 96% accurate.
So they must be sensing the vibrations. As if the touch is closer to your hand, the vibrations frequency would be higher, and if the touch was further away from your hand, the vibration frequency would be lower.
Right.
So they must be able to sense that.
I know that I for one, am really, I guess, pleased that we have a scientific study into feeling vibrations in your rod.
Yes.
I think that that's a good thing, right?
Yes.
Like, it's important that we know, like, factually and scientifically how you feel vibrations in your rod.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
During the experiment, researchers recorded subjects' cortical brain activity using scalp electrodes and found that the cortex rapidly processed where the tool was touched. In trials in which the rod was touched in the same location twice, which, let's be honest, if you're going to have your rod touched, same location twice, it's got to be the best way. I'm lost now.
That's all my fault.
There was a marked suppression of neural responses in brain areas previously shown to identify touch on the body, including the primary
somatosensory.
And then it puts in brackets touch, fucker, cortex, and the posterior parietal cortex.
Ooh.
Man, I didn't know I was going to need a dictionary.
Scientific American.
Right, yeah, 175 years. Woo!
Yeah.
Did you see that? There is evidence that when the sensory brain regions are presented with the same stimulus repeatedly, the responses of the underlying neural population get suppressed. This repetition suppression can be measured and used as a timestamp to signify when a stimulus is extracted in the brain. Blah, blah, blah.
And then the brain decodes it and says yay or nay.
Yeah, okay, so we kind of get that, but...
Yeah, 80 milliseconds.
Interesting, after each contact, the rod vibrates for about 100 milliseconds.
Yeah, there you go. So you can sense that, because up there it said something about 80 milliseconds. That's probably the common denominator that the brain can detect. So if it's over that, it can probably get a
So
grasp on it.
by the time the rod is done vibrating in the hand, you've already extracted the location. Dozens of milliseconds before that, he adds. Well, that anthropologically, I hope I'm saying that right, that would kind of make sense, right? Because that's one of the things that sort of I've heard theorized about how Homo sapiens sort of rose up and became like the dominant species of the planet, is that, versus other primates, because we had the ability. Our wrist has this ability to not only, to move in a lot more directions. It gives us the ability to throw things with lethality, rocks, and then making that first spear launcher, right? Was a stick, and the spear would set on top of it, and they'd use it like a lever to throw.
An Atla or something like that.
So, and then slings and so on. Yeah. All of those things then became sort of an evolved extension of that development of us having the ability to throw things to begin with. So that provided better protein, a better supply of protein, which made our brains develop because of the fats, made our brains develop better, so on and so forth.
Yeah, but that's one of the theories, yeah.
So I can see that would be extremely deeply ingrained in us from an evolutionary standpoint, given that it's probably
been with us all that time.
Since then, right? Yeah.
A couple of interesting side notes. In ancient times, the best slingers the armies could get.
You said slingers. Giggity.
Was in Crete.
Okay.
And today, that's where the main Olympians' slingers still come from, is Crete.
From the island of Crete?
Yeah.
The women look like Zorba. That's what it's a Robin Williams bit. So that's the oldest found artifacts of people using those type of weapons, or
no? Just that in ancient times, if you wanted really good slingers that knew what they were doing and was accurate and good at what they did, you got them from Crete. Today, there's like a competition with slings in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And the overall winners all the time are from Crete, essentially. So for thousands of years, the best slingers have come from Crete.
So is it a geographic thing, or is it
There is a lot of rocks.
genetic thing? Well, sure, but
and then maybe one plays upon the other. Maybe just over time, genetics have continued to allow this.
Well,
to happen.
that's my like. Do they have like somebody that grew up in Crete but also happens to be, I don't know, black or Asian or something, and then also competes and does really well?
I don't know. I only know those two stats.
I wonder if it's like a cultural thing there.
Could be.
This is the shit that keeps me up at night,
right?
Mr. Smith.
You got to find that out.
Yeah.
This is why this is no shit, right?
I guess.
We don't know everything, but we want you to go out and find out.
Yeah, try to figure it
some
out.
things. Another thing is too. Back in ancient times, the first accurate reading that was done of the sphere of the Earth, how far around it was,
Right? Yeah.
was when a Greek philosopher had a stick, and at noon he planted it in the ground at Greece,
Right.
and measured the shadow, and then did the same thing in Egypt, and he was able to calculate the difference and the trajectory of the shadow at noon in both locations and extrapolate the curvature that lied between those 2
he got
points.
really close too, if I remember right. Yeah, he got like super close, within like 100 miles.
Strange
or
how
something.
much science actually is in a stick.
Yeah. Well, I had asked that question. Think of you way back in just the audio days, of No Shit Cast.
I remember when there's no video.
Yeah, there was no video, right?
Back in the olden days.
Back in the old
just
days.
The audio.
Well, man, that was forever ago. That was like a year. It wasn't even a year ago.
You guys should check out all that audio stuff. It's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff over there.
Yeah.
But oh shit, what were we talking about? So I said I'd asked you this question. What major world religion, ancient religion, and there's thousands of them, ever predicted that the Earth was round?
Yeah.
And I've not been able to find an answer. I've found some stuff that I guess could be vaguely interpreted as maybe possibly talking about a spherical planet in one religion. But beyond that, and I just find that baffling that while all of these people who are, spending all this time talking to this divine entity, how does that shit never come up? Like, why does the sun disappear at night? Why couldn't that just? Oh, because actually, the sun is, we're sort of in the model is more stationary, and we're sort of revolving around it while we're spinning. That's why you see it like
all
that.
the way up till the time of Kepler and Copernicus.
Right. And so it's one of them things, because there's a lot when you live in those, like, we don't think it's not as big a deal today, but back then, in ancient times, the cycles of the sun, and these things were of profound importance to determining when you planted crops. There was a lot of things that, it was an agrarian society, right?
Yeah.
Of societies. So they really heavily depended on these kinds of things. I just think it would have come up. Sooner or later, somebody would have asked the question, but it doesn't seem to ever have come up.
Yeah, and I guess the popular academic belief is that religion retarded that from happening sooner, that it did come up, but that there was religious convention that held that we were the center of the universe and special, and so even when it would pop up over time, they would smack it down. People had been killed, I think, and put in jail and stuff for suggesting any of these things. I think Galileo got put in jail because
Bruno.
Well, because he said the moon wasn't a perfect sphere, that it had.
Was that Copernicus?
No, Galileo.
Yeah. I said Bruno was another one that.
The monk.
Yeah, the monk Bruno, who was, and he didn't dare to. He wasn't even saying that there wasn't a God. He was saying that the modern interpretation of his time of God was not big enough.
Yeah,
like it wasn't profound enough.
Because they had the celestial spheres, and he was talking about infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you're right. It probably did come up, but convention shot it down.
Right.
And not just Christian convention. I'm not trying to pick on the Christians or anything. There was certainly, most religions had the idea that the people that worship the gods, they were chosen people, or chosen society. They got some kind of a benefit out of that supplication to the deities. Right, so they all believed they were special, and even like the ancient Egyptians, their explanations for the sun and the moon was that there was battles going on, celestial battles, and people chasing each other and things, right?
Right, yeah.
I think the Sumerians did too.
Yep.
And of course, there probably was a guy that, even back then, that suggested something different, right? Just anything different, like that maybe we're turning and it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably stopped that shit, right?
Yeah, I gotta smash that down right the fuck now.
I know I've said this on the show before too, but one of the things that amazes me about belief in ancient times, a lot of times when people think back to ancient times, they make the assumption that the people that lived in those times had strong beliefs in deities, like they believed in their gods, right? But that's not true.
No.
They have found mummified cats,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
cats were a big deal in Egypt, right? That's why they mummified them. And they have found mummified cat sarcophagi that inside they just put dirt and rocks instead of actually going through the mummification process where they have the nitrate salt and the bandages and the prayers and all of this, right?
The preservation methods
exactly.
and all these things. Yeah, because no one's going to go back in and open it up.
Right, because it's sacred, right? Most people did believe that.
Yeah.
But there was always those people that were like, it doesn't fucking matter. Just give her some rocks and charge her the amount and let's go.
Yeah, let's just get it. Yeah, don't wait. Or could it have just been, they felt it was almost sacrilegious for them to waste these things on something like a pet? Well, no, because you said they held in the religion they held those sacred too, didn't they? Yeah, so no, that wouldn't have been it. Yeah, they were selling snake oil.
They venerated baboons, little people, and cats.
Okay.
Yeah, they used to take baboons and bring them into these caves and stuff, and they would inevitably die. A lot of them died, but they kept importing them from south of them in Kush in that area. And I don't know, they venerated these baboons. And
isn't it funny that we looked back on that stuff with so much derision of like, what? They did what?
Yeah.
With no concept that someday there's going to be civilizations that are going to look back on us the exact same way.
Sure. And then if you follow the religion and their ideas of the Duat, which is their heaven, and the process of how to get there and what it means to be there, it's a pretty logical situation that came from what was happening with the preservation of the bodies and stuff.
Okay.
I mean, they assumed that the preservation of the body started when people had died out in the desert and was naturally mummified, and that from that point on, they started mummifying and it got more and more elaborate. But the reason they did it is because they fully believed that their bodies would be animated in the Duat, and it was going to be living by this eternal river where you could plant and the plants and the growth would come up,
right?
In abundance, and you would live like eternally like that. So, they wanted their bodies and stuff. It took about 72 days to mummify a body. They take all the gushy organ parts out and put them in canopic jars, like the heart and the lungs. And
canopic
jars, little jars that had animal heads on them. And they put them in there. And they would also take the brain out of the body through the left nostril with a piece of metal wire, because they thought the only thing the brain did was make snot.
It's like the ultimate booger
just
scratcher.
get rid of that.
Just reach up there with a metal hook and just hook your brain. And
I just love that it's like an improvement for heaven. In heaven, in the Duat, you're not going to be plagued by these sinuses.
You won't worry about
guarantee.
nothing.
No.
But how, I mean, that's the job of the guy. There's some guy whose specialty is ramming a wire up people's
snot organ removal
and grabbing their brain and sucking it down through their nose.
Well, and they thought the intellect came from the heart, and of course, when they would die and they would go through the process where they would be questioned of their deeds and all of this, and be guided by Anubis through that process. In the end, or at least at one point, they would have to weigh their heart against the feather of truth.
Right.
And there was this crocodile deity underneath, and if your heart was heavy with sin,
they would eat it.
It would go down, and it would eat it. And then you didn't get into heaven.
That's a bummer. Wah, wah, wah. Game over.
But isn't it interesting, though, that there's that analogous connection to getting into eternity that's a good eternity, that your heart can't be heavy with sin?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, don't be an asshole is what everyone's trying to say, I think, right?
Over and over again. And then everyone says, well, I know how to say that better. And then you got to join our club. And then we don't like that club. And then people die.
Join our club or not. Whatever club you join, make your heart not heavy with sin.
Right.
Or as the famous Alice in Chains lyrics in Angry Chair, weight of my heart emphasize. That's important. How heavy is it with sin, not how generous I am. Well, okay. Anyway, I'm going to get a drink.
All right, this one comes from grunge.com. Physicists can't explain strange particles found in Antarctica. Yep, that looks like Antarctica. Anytime I think of Antarctica and those remote outposts, I always think of that John Carpenter movie. What was it, The Thing or something?
Oh, yeah.
One of the best horror movies ever.
One of my favorites.
Ever.
Absolutely.
Love that movie. In an announcement presumably presided over by a mysteriously husky whose sudden appearance and nobody could properly explain, scientists... What? An announcement presumably presided over by a mysterious husky... That's a dog is what they're talking about, whose sudden appearance nobody could properly explain. Scientists are wrestling with the presence of mysterious physics-defying particles that have been discovered busting up out of the ice in Antarctica. This sounds like a problem, Mr. Smith.
Yeah, man, that first paragraph didn't help explain nothing.
Okay. But particles busting out of the ice, that can't be good, right?
No.
As reported by Scientific American, physicists are currently baffled by two separate events recorded by NASA's... Baffled. What do baffled mean? By NASA's Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna, a balloon... Impulsive Transient Antenna, the ITA, a balloon... I don't know.
Yeah.
A balloon-based data gathering tool currently living its best life above the South Pole. Why does it...
I don't know.
Emotions.
That's weird.
The antenna, nicknamed Anita.
There's some
Ida, I get, but is used to detect the presence of cosmic rays entering Antarctic.
That's probably what the AN is. I'm guessing.
Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna.
Yeah.
Oh. That's more clever than I thought. Says it's used to detect the presence of cosmic rays entering Earth's atmosphere.
The kind that you would catch in cloud chambers.
In a cloud chamber, which just putting it out there, that Patreon's still out there if anybody wants to give Eric the money to build that thing. And we'll film it. The particles that currently have researchers scratching their noodles seem to be emanating from the planet rather than into it, which, in scientific parlance, puts a hitch in physics giddy-up. I like that. I can relate to that. I hate it when I like it when my physics has a hitch and it's giddy up.
Yeah, that means something could be uncovered.
Yeah. There are a number of possible explanations. A number of them.
Damn it.
One of them is, I don't know.
All right.
Some researchers theorize that the rays are made up of sterile neutrinos.
Interesting.
We wouldn't want fertile neutrinos.
Yeah, right.
Gotta have them sterile ones. While others think that they might be the result of dark matter pockets beneath the Earth's surface. Well, that's a lot more sexy.
Yeah,
Hollow Earth theory, baby. Hollow Earth theory.
Yeah, but dark matter pockets is kind of, I don't know about that.
It says the particle does not match the hole. Oh, look, a penguin.
Ooh.
Shutterstock photo.
I like the penguin.
It's not even the photo of that, I doubt. It's just a Shutterstock photo.
It's like a windmill and a penguin.
Grunge is like, we're going to make our article look, very, I don't know, precise or whatever. In any case, the presence of these particles throws the standard model out of whack, as they've managed to permeate thousands of kilometers of rock and come out relatively unscathed.
Boing.
Standard model. We like our physics standard model. Or do we like our physics chaos theory? Right, that's the two, isn't it? Standard model and
there's color theory.
What's the opposite of standard model? String theory.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm, again, just making shit up.
I think, well, I don't know if it's opposite, but it's definitely different because that's about little tiny strings that vibrate that on the ends make up, I think, particles of the ends of the string.
Yeah, I got it from watching that documentary on Netflix called Particle Fever. They were talking about the results of the Higgs boson testing, and whether they really thought it was going to come out, it was in support either the standard model or the other one.
Gotcha. I
can't remember what that one's called because I can't remember what it's called.
I know that most neutrino detectors are taken way down into salt mines and deep mines to get them to a point to where if the detector goes off, it's almost inevitably going to be a neutrino because neutrinos,
a positive hit kind of thing.
Yeah, because
right?
neutrinos are like the only thing they call them ghost particles. For a long time, they didn't even know they had mass. And then they figured out that they did, right? But they go right through you and right through the planet. So if you get a hit, it's because it's a neutrino. It's the only thing that can do that. So I'm a little confused because neutrinos pass through the planet. So how can they
pretty much unscathed,
those?
right? Is that what you're getting at? Like they already do?
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how they can distinguish between the two unless there's something about a sterile neutrino. Like I'm not a particle physicist or anything, but if that's a different kind of neutrino or something maybe. And then what was the other thing they said? Either the neutrino or the dark matter. That seems even more improbable.
Dark matter pockets, right?
Yeah.
It's like, here we go. What's that mean? Every time I hear some of these phrases, I think it's just scientists. That's just their way of going, we don't fucking clue.
Dark,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Dark
Maybe it's
matter.
got the word dark in it. That's part of them not knowing what it is. But I mean, the best guess on what it is that it's matter that you can't see, so it would still have a gravitational effect,
okay,
but you wouldn't be able to see it, but it would be solid, you just wouldn't be able to see it,
right?
So that's kind of weird, right? Like, why would that why there's dark matter halos around every galaxy,
right?
So I don't know. I don't know.
And we don't know what the fuck that is either,
right, yeah,
we?
that's like galactic structures right there. I don't know what it would be doing in a planet, but who knows?
Derek Fox, the point man on the research paper outlining the discovery, believes that the event has been caused by Stau leptons.
Oh my, yeah.
What the fuck? STAU leptons.
Yeah,
Two
it's
words.
Just some weird matter. That's some weird shit. I've heard of those.
I think we're just making shit up here now, Mr. Smith.
The names.
Stau
leptons. Sleptons. Sounds like a mattress.
Here, it's going to tell us what they are.
I just bought a Slepton.
I bet if we stopped being assholes and kept reading it, it'll tell us, right? And here's what it's going to do.
Let's not stop being assholes, though.
Well, it says they are neither game-changing, largely mysterious supersymmetric leptons, or more pressingly, the first sign of a mini-stroke when said out loud. Leptons. It does sound like you're trying to say something else.
Leptons.
Leptons. How we're going to get...
Leptons and Satyrs.
Other researchers like Bill Louis, a neutrino physicist based out of the Los Alamos National Laboratory.
Here's a guy.
Then that's going to be Bill Lewis.
Yeah, this is a good guy.
Okay.
I can tell right now. What is he?
He's expressed some skepticism, Mr. Smith. Yeah. Stating that at this stage it's too soon to make any sort of assumption about the cause of the rays and that more in-depth analysis is needed. Here we go.
See, he's that guy, like, how can you distinguish these neutrinos from any others that's passing through? Like, how do you know? Like, you need to do some more work and figure out what you're looking at.
So here's the root sum, Bubba, of the whole article. So let's at the top of the article, we started with where are we at here? We started with physicists can't explain strange particles found in Antarctica. And then you get down here and you got this other dude going, hey, y'all.
In any case.
Two things are clear. There's something inexplicable happening at the South Pole, and the scientists in charge of researching it can't trust anybody, not even Kurt Russell. Hey.
Yeah.
Maybe because he was in the movie.
Well, the Husky at the beginning was a reference to that.
I guess it should have been, too, yeah.
That's the only one that survived the Norwegian team. Yeah, but it brought bad stuff.
Yeah, it was in the dog. Maybe especially not Kurt Russell. So basically, though, you got one person going, there's not even enough data here to start to even indicate that anything is happening.
We got some pings on an antenna. I don't know. It could be this, or this. Could just not be.
Could be penguins.
Yeah,
getting it on under the antenna or something.
You don't know how accurate that could possibly be. when they discovered the microwave background radiation, it was first discovered. You know what that is, right? That's the leftover heat from the Big Bang.
Okay, do I know what it is? I've seen physicists talk about it and shit,
well,
but I
it's
can't.
just the leftover heat from the Big Bang, right? That you can still see the echo of it.
That is the echo, right? The theory, right?
Right. And wherever you point an antenna, you're going to have this static that you're going to encounter, and that's what it's from. And when they first detected it, they were using this AT&T antenna that they had just made. And the people in charge of that couldn't figure out what it was, and they tried all this stuff, and eventually they went out and they looked at it. They seen there was a bunch of pigeons nesting up there, and it was full of bird poop. So they thought maybe it was the bird poop.
Right, the pigeons and the bird poop, right.
Like maybe penguin poop or whatever, but they didn't know, and they got it out, and they still couldn't get rid of it.
Right.
And eventually found out that that's what it was.
Like the cosmic microwave background radiation.
Yeah.
I just like saying it.
Yeah.
Every time I see it on a picture, though, it's like red. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, like red and a little bit of yellow and blue.
Cosmic microwave background red microwave. So it'll heat up. Will it heat up my hot pocket?
Well, if you was to compress it all back down to where it was as one single point, it definitely would heat your hot
pocket. Yeah. Oh, it heats your hot pocket, baby. Yeah. There we go again. Giggity. So the next article here comes from.
Right now, it's like that plasma barrier around us that we talked about,
which is very. It's hot, super high in temperature, but it's very
spread out.
So
just like the microwave background radiation
used per meter. From Futurism.com, scientists build the first living robots from frog stem cells.
You know, frogs have proven to be pretty useful, haven't they?
Already, huh?
You can make bionics out of those. You can make robots.
How many kids have had to, throw up in biology class because they have to dissect that smelly ass?
I'll never forget my cousin taking a big whiff of the formaldehyde.
Formaldehyde,
yeah. Yeah, jeez.
We got to go and see, it was a special field trip, but we actually got to go and see actual human cadavers that were at a university and were being studied. So we got to go, and I was horrible at biology class, but when that fucking sign-up sheet came around, I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this. And once you get that formaldehyde smell, it's like it never goes away, man. It was weird walking into that lab at the university and it smelling the same as the lab in the high school when we pulled these things out and was like cutting them up. But my focus in high school was electronics and electrical. And so when we did the whole frog thing, one of the things that we had to do is we had to take batteries and stick electrodes in the frog and make their muscles fire.
Hello, my honey. Hello, my baby.
So
hello.
I brought the power supply, the benchtop power supply we used in the lab.
Because you're going to bring your frog back to life.
Oh, yeah. I was going to clear a Frankenfrog, right?
Right.
And
give me that leg.
And the way I sold the biology teacher, her name, I probably shouldn't say her name. But anyway, the way I sold the biology teacher on this was I was going to not only, because the problem with the batteries was there was no way to change any dynamic about it. It was just the voltage that the battery puts out and where you place the electrodes. So I told her I wanted to find if there was a correlation between voltage and the actual, and there is, turns out, and you can put like spitballs or paper, wads of paper, and have your frog go, and smack them and stuff like that. Just depends on where you put the electrodes and how much volt. Anyway,
science.
My high school was glad when I told my high school, I said I want to graduate early so that I can go in the military, and they went, no problem, no problem. Here, where do we sign? Yeah, you're right. You're out of here. Science. Okay, where did I say that? It's a new class of artifact, a living programmable organism. Good Lord, I thought those were called children.
Maybe it should make the sex bot industry go up a notch or two.
Oh, that's got some scary ramifications, doesn't it?
It all does.
Yeah. Sex bots. A team of researchers have built what they claim to be the first living robots. The Xenobots, they say, can move, pick up objects, and even heal themselves after being cut. Oh, robots that heal themselves.
Yeah, right. Hard problem to get rid of.
Here we go. The team is I want to know how small they can make them. It seems very small, stem cells, but maybe we'll get an idea. But you talk about that transhumanism component, but imagine having like nanobots inside your body that run around, turning all your healing mechanisms and everything back on or whatever, or
changing your
healing
genes,
you,
kicking out diseases and infections,
shit like that. So now you become sort of immortal in that respect. Man, that's a freaky scientific world, and I believe it.
I'm into it.
Yeah, me too. The team is hoping the biological machines could one day be used to clean up microplastics in the ocean, or even deliver drugs inside the human body. That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah. We are ready to enslave these things that we are going to create.
Yeah, right.
I mean, at some point that is an ethical situation.
Yeah, it depends. This is weird because it depends on whether, as this stuff starts to become more and more complex in what it's capable of and the things it's able to demonstrate, we're going to naturally, like you're always talking about, we're going to anthropomorphize these things and start to become attached to them as if they're not synthetic entities.
Yeah.
And there's going to be this weird gray area between something that's alive that we as a world and society consider as alive, and something that we don't consider as alive. But that gray area now in the middle is getting wider and wider all the time.
Measure of a Man, Star Trek: The Next Generation episode. That's a good one to watch for this sort of thing where their Starfleet decides to take data off the ship, and because he's a machine, and they're going to make more of them, and they've got uses.
Oh, they want to
for
copy him or something, right?
They want to make a race, essentially, a whole bunch of copies or whatever, and put them to work doing menial jobs and dangerous jobs and stuff. And he's fighting for his freedom, and not just his freedom in that episode, but if he was to create any more like him with a positronic brain, that they would have their autonomy too,
right?
As opposed to being considered property of Starfleet, in which case you're not. So, in fact, I think Picard airs tomorrow on CBS All Access. It's the new.
I thought it was already out.
No, I think it comes out tomorrow.
Oh, big deal, huh, for the Star Trek fans?
Oh
for
gosh,
sure.
yeah. And I think
I've been seeing it on Facebook, man. They're all frothed up over that.
Yeah,
right?
man, me too.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah, I'm dying.
Yeah,
ready.
You're ready, chomping at the bit.
Fuck yeah.
Huh?
I think they're going to touch upon that too.
On Data. Well, I think that Brent Spiner is back in the series, from what I understand, and so is Jonathan Frakes,
Maria Citrus, or whatever her name is. I'm not sure what his last name is. It's the Deanna Troi.
Deanna Troi. Okay, yeah.
7th of 9. I forget her name.
She's Borg.
She was.
Let's see. Okay. Quote, these are novel living machines, research co-lead Joshua Bongard.
I love it.
Robotics expert and never mind. At the University of Vermont, definitely University of Vermont, said in a statement, quote, they are neither a traditional robot nor a known species of animal. It's a new class of artifact, a living programmable organism. Leave it to them guys up there, them crispy fuckers, to come up with some way to create hybrid frog.
We've made this life. It's ours.
It's ours. The millimeter-length robots were designed by a supercomputer running an evolutionary algorithm.
Deep thought.
Here it comes. That tested the reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I nailed it. That tested thousands of 3D designs for rudimentary life forms inside a simulation. The scientists then built a handful of the designs, which were able to propel themselves forward or fulfill a basic task inside the simulation, using tweezers and cauterizing tools.
That's great. So
it's in the simulation, though.
They had deep thought, figure out what was best in life. Then they made some of those life forms to exist. How did you make this life? Well, we had to make artificial intelligence before we could make the life.
To figure out what was best anyway, huh?
Yep.
The tiny robots had about a week to 10 days of power, courtesy of living heart muscle cells that were able to expand and contract on their own. And then they were laborious little critters. And tests outlined in a paper, published in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences today. Some were able to push tiny pellets into a central location on dishes of water, while others carried an object around.
So they can poison you?
And well, I don't know. They can
Push
can
little
do
pills in your mouth
they
while
can
you sleep.
no, they can run a really tiny little factory.
Okay.
The biological robots have an advantage over their much larger metal or plastic brethren. They leave no trace behind. Oh, yeah. See, you went there to the dark place. Our Bond villain, boy, he's going to love this when he finds out about this. Being that, yeah, you said that, oh, so they can poison you? Well, and leave no trace behind.
Yay.
These Xenobots are fully biodegradable, Bongard said in the statement. When they're done with their job after 7 days, they're just dead skin cells.
Bonga degradable.
Bonga degradable instead of biodegradable. Oh.
Yeah, he probably will hear that.
Yeah, it's coming back, isn't it?
Yeah.
Quote, these are very small, but ultimately the plan is to make them to scale. Co-author Michael Levin, the director of the Allen Discovery Center at Tufts University, told The Guardian, they could be built with other cells, including blood vessels or nerve cells, to gain cognitive capabilities, but that won't happen anytime soon. They keep saying this, that, oh, don't worry about it. This is not going to happen. Remember when they were saying that about CRISPR? Mm-hmm. It's really not going to be that big deal. Now it's like people are buying CRISPR and using it at home.
Yeah.
Like
ordering it
all
off
of a
the
sudden,
internet and injecting it into their stomachs when they get it.
No biggie. Technology won't increase that fast. Oh, look, another quantum leap. That makes all this possible now. Oh, gee. So,
mutations, as Patrick Stewart might say.
What's that?
Mutations, as Patrick Stewart might say at the beginning of a
X-Men movie or whatever. I was thinking Star Trek, to baldly go. Why do they always baldly go? So this next one comes up here sort of in the theme of artificial, life. So scientists finally build artificial brain cells. This is from Futurism.
Finally, artificial brain cells. Good God.
My gut reaction, of course, is to always think, oh, goody.
Right on, programmable brains. That's
right. But then I think about the multitudes of people that I wish had more
programmable
brains or more brain cells. And I go, well, maybe this is a good thing,
Hey, I programmed my brain to make cakes. You want a cake?
I sure don't. Not if you're going to grin at me like that. I definitely don't want a cake. I don't want anything from you. I feel like I'm going to end up in the bottom of a well or something, dismembered. So I already said that part, right? Brain-inspired circuitry just took a huge leap forward. Quantum leap. This is Elon Musk's thing. What do you want to bet? Or at least it makes it even easier now.
Yeah.
No more laser drilled holes into your brain. Scientists have finally decoded the bizarre behaviors of brain cells and recreated them in tiny computer chips.
Now, they did that in ancient times, too. They actually had skull drills
in
right,
ancient times. And performed, surgery
to really pressure off of bleeding in the brain sometimes.
I thought I heard one time that they also... And I don't know how that this would be derived, but figured out that it was to remove a chip or a fragment of bone in somebody's skull that was pushing on their brain.
I've heard
and it's
about
like,
that.
Whoa, how does that work without an X-ray? I don't know. So I found that I thought that might have been something that might have been a little overinflated.
It must have worked enough that there have been many examples of finely crafted bronze surgical tools.
Yeah, dig that.
So, there must have been some way of detecting it and stuff. Maybe, I don't know, but
yeah, where would they know where to drill if you had a concussion and they had to relieve pressure off your brain?
Crazy, ain't it? But it just reminds me, like you said, no more of that old hat drilling into the brain. I know you was referring to Tesla.
Yeah,
but you're right too, because that's been with us for quite some time.
It's still there. Yeah. Okay, the tiny neurons could change the way we build medical devices because they replicate healthy biological activity but require only 1/1000th of the energy needed by microprocessors, according to a University of Bath press release. Well, that has huge ramifications also in microcircuitry for other devices, too. If they require 1/1 billionth of the power,
yeah.
It's like, you charge your cell phone up and it lasts forever.
A billion times longer.
Yeah, right? That's what I mean. Basically
like
forever.
A billion days, so.
Jeez. Yeah, right. Forever. Neurons behave similar to electrical circuits within the body, but their behavior is less predictable. I hate it when neuron behavior is not predictable. That bothers me. Where are you going? Just getting a drink. Oh, okay. You're like wiping everything out. Especially when it comes to parsing the relationship between their input and output, electrical impulses. But these new artificial brain cells successfully mimic the behavior of rat neurons from two specific regions of the brain, according to research published Tuesday in Nature Communications. Quote, until now, neurons have been like black boxes, but we have managed to open the black box and peer inside. University of Bath physicist, I'm going to say Alan. Is that Alan or Elaine?
I think Alan.
I could be just fooling myself, and everyone at home's going, yeah, that's definitely Alan, dumbass.
Alan Nogart.
No Garrett. No Garrett. No Garrett. No Gart. Said in the release, quote, our work is paradigm changing because it provides a robust method to reproduce the electrical properties of real neurons in minute detail. Sounds like a big deal. The ultimate goal is to use these neurons to build medical devices that can better cater to patients' needs, like a smarter pacemaker that can respond to new stressors and demands on the person's heart, essentially upgrading devices to be more in tune with the body. So they're basically, when your heart dies, the nerve system that makes your heart beat dies. Right now, they can put this thing in that'll sort of regulate it and make it continue beating on, even though on its own it couldn't, right? It's sort of like a mini cardiac machine, if I understand this right. This sucker here would give you the ability to not just have a constant, healthy rhythm, but one that's like, hey, we're walking upstairs now, start beating faster.
Yeah.
So,
we're having a heart attack.
Wow. So as long as muscularly it was still capable of functioning now, this could be something that sort of extends not only your life, but the quality of it. And only uses 1/1 billionth of the power. So you don't even have to eat a lot extra.
No, not at all, maybe. Just have that powering you.
That's pretty cool, huh?
It is.
I'm going to move on. I don't want to do any more of that article. But I just think so there's a lot of ramifications there, but I think it's significantly, and it's still in its infancy, So we're still going to be finding out a lot about that as we sort of move on. Okay, I'll have to make sure I cut that in for you.
I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I had moved out of frame.
No, you're good. Look at you.
Yeah, but earlier I was like way up here.
Look so good in frame. Yeah. Yeah, you kind of are out.
Yeah. I thought maybe I was.
An adjusting period, as it were.
Yep.
Okay, so this one still comes from Futurism. Professor says progress towards warp drive has been enormous. Full speed ahead. I like an enormous warp drive. Warp drive is arguably the holy grail of space exploration with a propulsion system capable of faster than light speed travel. I like it. Humanity could reach distant corners of the galaxy and beyond. You didn't look conspicuous at all.
I didn't even think you seen me.
Nope. I'm watching you out of the corner.
I know. You have to, man. I'm sorry.
Know. Who knows what you'll be fucking doing over there next.
I know. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, warp drives have been long relegated to the realm of science fiction, but according to aerospace engineering professor Jason Casibri, going with it, scientists are getting closer to cracking the physics of a warp drive straight out of Star Trek. What do you think, Mr. Smith?
Man.
Big words given?
I can't wait to watch Star Trek tomorrow now. Even more so.
Even more. It's attainable.
Yes. This is going to happen. Like all Trekkies, that's what they say. This is going to happen.
Yeah, we can't even get that prime directive thing down yet. Casibri teaches at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. That's, okay, so let's remember that's where, like, NASA's at, right? Before we cast aspersions, Mr. Smith. Or were you casting aspersions?
I didn't know.
Oh, you just went,
I did not know that.
Huntsville, Alabama. It's like where space camp is and all that kind of stuff.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's. I've heard comedians that tour down there talk about how it's a strange mix between scientists, physicists, people that work for NASA, astronauts, this kind of thing, and well, what do I want to say here? Simpler people, but
janitors?
No. Anyway, I should move on before I get in trouble.
Oh wait, no, okay.
No. Okay, now you understand?
Yeah, I think I do.
Cassibri teaches where he advises undergraduate students. Joseph Agnew, author of a recently published warp drive study that got the scientific world buzzing. That would, wouldn't it? In a recent interview with Motherboard, Cassibri noted that, quote, theoretical progress toward building warp drives has been enormous thanks to the efforts of Agnew and other researchers.
Right on. Sounds good so far.
Big words giving, nothing taking away.
Yep.
We're still on track here, yep.
I think we're tripping right here, maybe.
Yeah, I see the word now. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, and the whole one thing after it.
Theoretical progress is one thing, though.
Getting A's on your paper is fine, but we need some engineers to build this.
Physically building a warp drive is another. And Cassibri noted in his interview with Motherboard, scientists still have a long way to go before they reach the latter goal. Yeah, because it's probably full of all these exotic materials like unobtainium and don't existium and go fuck yourselfium, all of these kinds of things, right?
Part of it was pulled out of the Vedic tradition of the Vermonters and stuff.
Gotta go. It's only on this planet. It's like the plot line of a G.I. Joe cartoon, right? Find this asteroid.
We're gonna have some dark matter pockets in the engine.
Yeah, definitely dark matter pockets. Still, the first step toward building anything is making it work on paper, and the increasing scientific interest in warp drives could lead to the creation of a system that actually lets us zip around space at a faster than light at faster than light speed someday. Anyway. Okay, so basically, this whole article is that some jamoke wrote a paper.
Yeah, because and they don't even reference any papers. They don't even point out what advances were made in the field of theoretical warp drive. I mean, Dan W. was talking about that. Remember, he was the one that when we were talking about that, he showed the plans on the warp drive that they'd already developed.
Okay,
and this is saying that there's been all these enormous leaps in that, right? So where's those references and papers? Because he was able to reference the ones that
there's like nothing there.
Yeah,
in this at all, just some.
And he was able to put that one forth to show us. So where's this leap that they're talking about?
Well, it's exciting that somebody wrote a paper. That's as exciting as it is. But a lot of people write papers, and it's all theoretical. Nothing's been built. Nothing's been tested per se. Right? Is that kind of the point?
Well, definitely nothing's been tested as far as an engine, except that one weird one that they're trying to isolate the Earth's magnetic field.
Yeah, whether it's what they call it, the EM pulse drive or something like that.
Yeah.
And we've done some articles on that too that have been both directions. Like it's nothing.
Yeah,
and then
we don't know what it is. No, it's not there at all. Well, there's something there, but we're not sure. We're just trying to isolate.
And then it's God, it's changing everything.
Yeah,
and then no, it doesn't actually violate the laws of physics. It's like all over the place.
It's weird that stuff can hang out on that real fuzzy edge. It's weird that it doesn't. That the wave function doesn't collapse or the domino doesn't topple to one side or the other. Where it's definitely not doing anything.
Very Zen, isn't it? Or Taoist. It's like it's always in the middle.
Yeah, weird stuff
Peace,
like that.
my brother.
Yeah.
Anyway,
some science is there. Some science is in the middle.
Well, that was the thing I thought was hilarious. After spoiler alert, if you do watch Particle Fever, which I suggest you do. Was how it sort of comes down the testing all that was not definitive one way or the other. Mm-hmm. It didn't give any clarity. It sort of landed right in the middle of these two theories, standard model or theory, or these two camps, standard model camp, and
the other one,
and the other one. And so they thought that this was going to be one of those definitive things. Like people were going to be packing their offices and shit and being like, well, I wasted my life on this side of the equation.
And recently,
it didn't change anything.
Recently, there's been people who have put forth the idea that there's an infinite number of universes, all with their different physical laws, right? And if that's the case, they say, that means that there's no real rhyme or reason for the laws of physics that we have. And that, because they're going to be different for every universe, so there's no real true laws of physics. They change per universe. And if there's an infinite number of them, that means there's no guarantee that the universe you happen to be in is going to make sense, logical sense. It obviously would have to make enough logical sense and have enough physical laws that it would promote sentient life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is maybe a rare thing in and of itself. But there's no guarantee that you're going to find some ultimate, you're going to peel back the layers and find some grand unified field theory. Like there's starting to be people who is starting to wonder if it's impossible to bridge the quantum world and the macro world because there isn't no foundation. That it's just the way our universe is set up and you can't connect them, and
Never will.
Yeah.
And it's going to just be this maddening dichotomy that's always going to exist.
Yeah, with its own weird peculiarities on each end, like dark matter that you'll never really be able to explain because there's no real reason for it to be doing what it's doing.
To begin with.
Yeah, because it's not just one universe in the way it is.
It's just chance.
Yeah, chance and circumstance that's that way in this universe. They have been putting forth that theory recently, which is dismal. It's like that. Like
we may never find the answers because it may not be possible.
Yeah, just go back into the cave and light a fire.
Well, I don't know that that's what they're saying. I mean, we're pretty good at defining the laws of physics on either side, and repeatedly so on either side of that equation, right? The macro micro world.
Yeah,
and that they do continue to discover more and more new applications of them laws and refinement of those sort of theories and stuff. So I mean, it's not all is lost. They just may never be able to find that thing that bridges the gap.
Yeah, the theoretical physicists maybe are a hell of a job.
Could be. There's not much. Okay, we've already theorized all the shit that can be theorized.
Yeah, but it's not that. We don't know what it is. And you see that more and more, right? Things where people are like, well, we don't know what this is. We detect that there's something happening, but we can't even describe it. Like we can't even give an idea of what it is.
It's just there.
It's there. It does the thing that it does.
Oh shit. All right, man. That's been an hour. That's pretty good. That's about what we try to do. About an hour to an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's it for articles though tonight. What else we got? Anything?
Well, there's always something, but I'm going to hold off.
Oh yeah. Next show, huh? It's gonna be a couple days now. I got to travel again for work, so that's how it works out, man. I don't get home early enough. So, all right, we'll wrap up there then.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. We really appreciate it. Make sure you check us out at www.noshitcast.com. That's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us a share. We'd greatly appreciate it. And we will catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everyone. Bye. Bye. Hello out there. Welcome to the No Shit Cast. I'm your host, Matt Frazier. Woo, check out the new digs, y'all. What do you guys think, huh? New cameras, new setup, new studio setup. Trying out something a little different here. hanging out in the No Shit Man cave, as it were, down here in the Bat Cave, Bat Central. My co-pilot and Robin for this evening's festivities, none other than the great wizard of historical knowledge himself, Mr. Eric D. Smith. How are you tonight, Mr. Smith?
Oh, I'm doing well.
Just well? That's a deep subject, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. But it's an artesian well.
It's artesian? So
yeah.
It's spring, a nice, clear, crystal spring-fed soul. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Somehow I don't believe that. I don't know why, but okay, but maybe I do. Sitting in the engineering booth, backed by popular demand, our own in-house Bond villain, Mr. Devlin, sitting back there. No camera tonight, though. He wants to be mysterious now all of a sudden, so waiting to see what that turns into. But Mr. Devlin has also taken over our some of our social media presence stuff, right? TikTok, Instagram, pretty much everything but Facebook, right?
Yes, they're still in control of Facebook, but I have control of everything else.
Now that was not by my that was by your choice that you didn't want nothing to do with dealing with Facebook, right?
The hypnotism worked.
The hypnotism.
Exactly.
How do you mean?
Never mind.
You're saying I hypnotized you so that you wouldn't want to?
No, the other way around.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Control.
Yeah, it was real tough. You went, I'm not doing Facebook. And I went, oh, okay.
I was talking about getting control of all the other social medias.
Yeah, you got those. You got those locked up now.
Yes.
So we did our first TikTok tonight. Eric did our first TikTok tonight. That was kind of neat.
Eric attempted our first TikTok.
I tried something.
You crushed it.
No,
it was funny. It was great. It's too funny.
You crushed it, huh?
Yeah, it's at the No Shit Cast on TikTok.
So that's how people find us on TikTok?
Yeah, it's hard to miss. We're the only ones with that name.
You've been doing, I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but he's been doing a lot more like behind the scenes type stuff, putting images and things up of stuff going on inside the studio and things. It's kind of cool, man. I'm really digging that. I'm like, oh, when do you take that? You know, like these candid photos and things when we're working and putting stuff together. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun.
We got one on Instagram the other night, right? You record after we finally got the YouTube video put together and got it uploading. Which by the way, that whole episode, that whole last podcast episode is what spurred the whole changing the camera system out, and some of that kind of stuff.
I thought it might have.
Oh God, I thought
you'd be like, no.
I mean, you can't tell in the edited version of it because Devlin and I are getting pretty good at what we do here. But it was a nightmare kind of putting that together. It took days longer than it should have, let alone hours or minutes longer. So. Yeah, now we're recording all with exactly the same camera and exact same formatting.
Yeah,
now, so no more of that.
That's gotta be nice.
No more of that crap. And also, there's going to be a new feature tonight that we're going to thread in. Hopefully, it works out okay, where we can actually have on YouTube, if you're watching and not just listening to the podcast, you'll be able to see the articles as we see them and read them now as part of the YouTube video. So that's going to be pretty cool too. Hopefully this all fucking works out. I don't know. We're sort of live without a net tonight, folks, so we'll see what happens. But it's also kind of cool. We can see Devlin now.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he's like not hidden behind behind bulletproof glass and
you two
stuff back there.
Okay, I thought you were talking about. I was like, I thought we didn't have a fourth camera. Where is it?
Yeah, no, we're working on that. We're gonna I tell you what, when people find out that you don't want to be the fourth angle anymore, I bet people are gonna be like, no bullshit, man. Put him back on the show.
Nah,
I could be wrong.
Nah. Well, I have some ideas. I got different ideas.
You don't want to be. See, here's the thing. Last episode, he got to host.
Yes.
Now he doesn't want to be on the show unless he's the host.
On the show.
Unless he's in the seat driving the bus. That's what's happened. It went straight to his head. Everybody praised him and was like, oh, he did a really good job. And people were asking, oh, is this something he wants to do for a living? I mean, yeah, he, not bad. First at bat. Now he's all like, psh, he wants more money. Now all of a sudden,
time to step down.
I don't even know what to do. Right? Yeah, screw it.
What was it I said earlier when Eric was holding the Master Sword? I was like, don't stab anyone. I'm just saying that if you stab Matt, we would be the hosts of the show.
So make sure if you do stab him, Stab him deep. Twist it at the end. All right, do we have a show question? I can't remember. Did we come up with one? We were so busy putting everything together today, we kind of forgot that. Oh, yeah, we got to record a show tonight.
What is the most ridiculous thing you've had to go shopping for?
Really? You want to ask me that question?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, boy. Ridiculous. In what? Okay, ridiculous in what way?
It could be like a large quantity of something. It could be the
Oh.
weirdest thing. It could be anything. What would you define as ridiculous?
Yeah, that I've had to go shopping for. All right, do you have an answer to that question, or is this just something you just...
This thing I thought of. I didn't really...
You don't really...
No.
Or the most ridiculous thing I've ever had to buy. I don't know. Most ridiculous. That's a good question. Oh, I had to buy an inflatable. I've had to buy like inflatable farm animals and shit before.
Why?
Like the naughty kind for like bachelor parties and things like that. I guess that's kind of ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that qualifies as pretty ridiculous.
Do they have kinds that are not the naughty kind? Like, are there like...
I think so. I think so because maybe I'm wrong, but for some reason I think they have an Easter motif to them or something to that
Probably,
effect,
yeah.
or some sort of spring
I was thinking
holiday.
pinata motif or something.
Could be too. Yeah, doesn't have the orifice, or whatever.
Yeah, right.
As it were. What?
Nothing.
You're the one that didn't want to be on camera, man. So here we are.
All adult things have orifices.
Well, you certainly hope so.
Orifici.
Oh, orifice.
Look
All
at
right,
those
so
two orifices.
What about you?
Probably a gi. Continuing to buy gis for the comfort, like we had discussed in one other question, when I'm not at all doing any martial arts or anything.
You're just buying
Wait.
Yeah, I'm just looking for gis at thrift stores. Like, you guys got any gis?
Wait,
At the thrift
is
store.
this something you've actually tried to go out shopping for?
Yeah, I went out shopping for gis at thrift stores at CCC in Columbus,
Oh.
looking specifically for black ones.
Okay.
With no patches
All
or
right.
anything. And surprisingly, there was plenty there.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Guess a lot of people start martial arts and then
Yep.
go, fuck this,
Yep.
and take them and
Pretty
hawk 'em.
much.
But
Yeah.
the pajamas are comfy.
Well, that's what he's saying, right? They're super comfy.
They are, yeah.
Yeah. And they're thicker, way thicker than pajamas.
They're actually,
Some
I'd say
are.
thinner. The ones I had were pretty thin. I
Judo and jiu-jitsu gis, from what I gather, are pretty thick
thought. Originally,
because of the way they're utilized. You know what I mean?
Grappling and
Yeah.
the original
they
one
have
I
to
had was for Kempo.
Kempo karate.
Yeah.
what is Kempo's focus?
Kempo's focus is basically a lot like Aikido, but there are a couple of kicks that are above waist level.
Yeah, because on Aikido you don't do kicks very often.
Right. Yeah. But we have a little more kicks. And it was JT Will Kempo as opposed to Ed Parker Kempo. And there was be subtle variations in the defense maneuvers that they would teach you and stuff like that. We went down to Grandmaster Greenwood in Circleville, who did he did some type of kung fu, and took a couple of classes there just as an exchange program. And it was interesting. They were much faster. Like, they got to the really powerful parts of a combat technique and cut out parts that we would add. Like, we would do a couple more steps, 2 or 3 more steps in Kempo, and they would cut those out. But they would keep all the hard strikes in.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was faster, I thought.
Did you like the kung fu stuff better then?
No, I didn't necessarily like it better. And in fact, it might be something I would say was more advanced, but I didn't like it better. I think if you was to learn what was going on in Kempo and then take those kung fu classes, it would probably benefit you more than just taking the kung fu classes.
Okay.
Because I think it's more advantageous to know certain maneuvers, different plethora of maneuvers, and then if you could then take a course that you could hone those down to just the important ones, but you already had the education in all of them.
Right.
I think that would benefit more.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Arbonville in here is a martial artist too, right?
I used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well, you're going to
been
start
a while.
What are you planning on doing here? You wanting to do 10th Planet?
Yeah,
you think?
Brazilian
Once we
Jiu-Jitsu.
get back at it.
Yeah.
What
That's kinda
school or branch or form did you do?
I did Aikido,
Aikido, okay.
and I did the I don't know how to explain it.
Yep,
I
gotcha.
just did Aikido.
Yep.
In one of the schools that did.
Steven Seagal, I think, was supposed to be the first person to open up a dojo teaching Aikido in the Orient.
First American.
First American, yeah.
Yeah, he's a legit, I've heard, several people talk about this. He's a legit martial artist.
Oh, yeah, you see, you're going to get controversy out of that.
No, we're talking about martial artists. I'm not talking about a legit fucking super badass or MMA fighter. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that, there's an art to some of this stuff, and that there's a beauty in, all this kind of stuff. But he hardened Aikido up quite a bit too, right? He put a lot of closed fist, like hammer strikes and stuff like that in it as well.
In the school that I went to, we called that Aikido Jiu-Jitsu,
Okay.
which was wicked aggressive.
Yeah.
Because it took what a lot of people think about Aikido, and they made it more aggressive to be more what I hear is practical.
Right. Yeah.
What form would you guys like to take as just a pure martial arts?
To me, there's the only thing I will ever take again is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
What about you?
Yeah.
So actually just study over anything else?
Yeah, if you could have your choice of any at all, what would it be?
It'd be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
But you haven't taken it yet,
No,
though.
but
So it's hard to say that, right?
Yeah, well, it looks fun. It looks interesting. Because I've done Aikido, and I feel like what I got out of it, I would like to branch off.
Yeah.
To see different things. Because I also did Taijutsu for about 2 years, and then I stopped. So, yeah. I thought Taijutsu was a lot more taxing, and I was also wicked out of shape. So I just quit it.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to do Eskrima or Krav Maga.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all legit shit too, man. Krav Maga is some badass, that's some badass stuff. Yeah, that's for real. Yeah,
it matches what the Marines got going on
now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys want to do some articles? We go with the.
Yeah.
Do we have any shout outs or anything we had to do?
Shout out to Cassie at work and Susan when she's exercising and Reed when he's exercising, and shout out to
It's the Eric Smith fan club, ladies and gentlemen.
We know what you're doing.
people I know.
Yeah. These are the people, by the
Shout
way,
out
they
to
get all
Lisa.
nervous, like if he's not on an episode and it's not announced.
I'm probably
What's going
dead
on?
if that's the case.
Whoa. Okay.
I'm not.
Eric's
Jesus.
on every show, I heard.
It's
Gonna stay that way.
No.
All right, let's do some articles then. This one comes from the Seattle Times. Special sunglasses, license plate dresses, how to be anonymous in the age of surveillance. Now, we actually had a fan that sent me this and messaged me. If hopefully I'm getting this correct.
Spying, lying, there's no denying. You can't escape. Just be discreet.
That's
Reminds me of lyrics.
Mm-hmm. So she said that when she read this article, she could literally hear the article in my voice. So she was like, I had to send this to you because I thought this would be right. And I was like, yeah, it kind of looks like something we would cover because we're into like cybersecurity and autonomy and all that kind of stuff. We talk about that stuff kind of a lot, right?
Yeah.
So Corey Doctorow's sunglasses are seemingly ordinary, but they are far from it when seen in security footage where his face is transformed into a glowing white orb. So they glow like... At his local credit union, bemused tellers spot the curious sight by monitors and ask what's going on with your head, said Dr. Rowe, chuckling. The frames of his sunglasses from Chicago-based eyewear line Reflecticals are made of a material that reflects the infrared light found in surveillance cameras and represents a fringe movement of privacy advocates experimenting with clothes, ornate makeup, and accessories as a defense against some surveillance technologies.
My spectacles are reflecticals.
Yeah. Baby.
And sometimes they call spectacles.
Some wearers are propelled by the desire to opt out of what has been called surveillance capitalism, an economy that turns human experiences into data for profit, while others fear government invasion of privacy. To be sure, people have long been interested in technology that can make people invisible, often in the form of masks, said Dave Mavs, M-A-A-S-S, Maas. Dave Maas. Senior investigative researcher at San Francisco-based nonprofit Electronic Frontier Foundation. In response to the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan between the 1920s and 1950s, numerous states enacted anti-mask laws to prohibit groups of people from concealing their identities.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird, isn't it? Like, well, in some cases they don't want you to wear a mask, and in some cases you should be able to.
Yeah, you would hope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think it's hilarious because when you think about the way that we name, like, we're private citizens and politicians and stuff are public officials, but we don't have any privacy and there's nothing about them that's public anymore, right? Isn't that weird, that juxtaposition?
Yeah.
But that's not how that's supposed to actually be. What are you looking like?
Yeah.
Maybe I want to put something back here between. No, what are you getting at?
I'm agreeing with
Oh,
you.
you're agreeing?
Why aren't we public citizens and they're private?
And they're private officials.
Yeah.
They're not private officials. They're public officials.
That would make
We're
more sense.
private citizens. So we're the ones that are supposed to have all of the safeguards and the insulation and all this between us and these entities. But when you look at the way it actually works now, public officials have the most privacy and private citizens have the least.
Yeah.
It's kind of bizarre, right? Just a weird turn.
Could say Orwellian, maybe.
Maybe. Let's see. And NASA noticed an uptick in surveillance countermeasures after former National Security Agency contractor Edward Snowden's 2013 revelations about American surveillance programs around the world. Boop. Today, artificial intelligence, or AI technology, such as facial recognition, has become more widespread in public and private spaces, including schools, retail stores, and airports, concert venues, and even to unlock the newest iPhones. Yep, mine does that. It's very handy. Civil liberty groups concerned about the potential for misuse have urged politicians to regulate the systems. A recent Washington Post investigation, for instance, revealed FBI and immigration and customs enforcement agents use facial recognition to scan millions of Americans' driver's license without their knowledge to identify sex suspects and undocumented immigrants. They got like a digital database of everybody. I don't know. I think that's kind of, I mean, you've got the data already. That's just a logical next step, isn't it?
To be able to scan everything.
Yeah, like if you see, like if you have bank teller camera footage or something of a bank robbery, I would think that the very least they would be running that against the ID databases of all the driver's license faces.
Yeah, I think
right
so.
off the bat. Wouldn't that? I mean, that would be like, wouldn't that make sense? It'd be the first thing you'd do.
Yeah, I think you see it in movies.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody's freaking out, like they're gonna take your DNA. Man, they don't fucking need your DNA.
No.
They just don't.
No.
Like they've moved past the necessity of that to track you and find you. They can just do it on like how far apart your eyes are, and the weird geometry that's formed by your face.
Yeah. I was trying to think of that movie where they were following this guy like through the whole thing. He was trying to get away.
Not Minority Report, with Will Smith.
Maybe so.
Yeah, what was that called? Enemy of the State.
Yeah.
They were trying to track him because he had sensitive material, and he didn't even know he had. It was on like a USB drive or something like that, or it might have been a zip disk. I think I just saw it not too long ago, and I was like, a fucking zip disk? Jeez, who uses those anymore? Those were like a whopping 1.44 megabytes or something like that. So yeah, I keep hearing that, man. So I think we're going to probably, I don't know, I keep hearing that pop over there. So I was, we had said something about after we got everything fired up doing this like a short show here. So I might cut this off at like half an hour. We'll go ahead and publish it and everything while we're still getting everything put back together here. But I keep hearing that. I'm thinking we're dropping audio.
Special show for all of you.
Yeah, we're what are we stress testing all the systems to make sure everything works, right?
Gotta say, it looks good.
Yeah.
Whose idea was this to begin with?
Eric's. It was Eric's.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we got to try this out. We got to see what's up. We got to do it.
I don't want to shortchange this article, but yeah, I think we're gonna lay this one up, man, and call this like a special episode. We'll call it like the Shakedown, Studio Shakedown episode. But yeah, I want to make sure we're not dropping audio because I think we are, and then that makes the video and stuff not line up right. Anyway, that's all behind the scenes shit. We don't need to worry about. So anyway, that's 20 minutes, 21 minutes. What do you got?
And if you want to see behind the scenes stuff, check out our Instagram for behind the scenes cast.
Yeah, that's right. And that gets shared on Facebook as well, by the way. So
yeah, but also in Instagram
and new TikToks
and TikTok.
TikTok, you don't stop. Bang bang boogie to up jump to boogie.
We're on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
It's just the way we roll, man. Gonna run with the big dogs, man. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Check us out at www.noshitcast.com. It's KNOWSHITCAST.com. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons. Give us a share. We would greatly appreciate it. We appreciate all the comments and everything down below there in the YouTube comments and so on and so forth. And we'll catch you all next time. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye, Circles. That was pretty good.